Dude, I gotta be honest, I feel so bad for Jason Tatum right now because we just found out yesterday that he suffered a torn Achilles and he'll be out for the rest of the playoffs and also the entirety of the 2025 NBA season. It just sucks that one of the 15 best players right now, unfortunately, is hurt right now. Oh, actually, two of the top 15, my add, because Stephen Curry is going to be out for Game 5. I also saw the Thunder made it a 3-2 series lead against Denver, going to Denver in Game 6. That might be the NBA Finals. Everybody's saying that that's going to be the NBA Finals. But, hey, don't sleep on a 6th and 7th seed because they could shock you right there and then. But as for every bit of series, yeah, Warriors might be cooked. Celtics probably are cooked. And Pacers already beat the Cavs at 5. So, boy. This has gone downhill for everybody picking the chalk. My bracket went down when Lakers lost to the Timberwolves because I had them in the conference finals against the Thunder. Now, Pacers beat Cleveland. Boston's about to lose to New York. So my championship pick is already gone. At least the Thunder is still in this, hopefully. Hopefully they can come together and win Game 6 or potentially Game 7. And move on to the conference finals to play probably the Timberwolves. And hopefully they can win a title finally. Would it be crazy if the Pacers and the Thunder played against each other and the winner would get their first title in franchise history? Well, the Thunder have it from Seattle Supersonics, but I mean the first NBA title in OKC. That would be so poetic, wouldn't it? Anyways, enough about basketball. Let's get to the college football series again. Welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football. I'm the Grizz, and this episode we have continued our series with the college football season reviews and predictions for the upcoming season. We got Conference USA today. And guys, before I get into the whole rundown, I gotta say, the American Conference was the last conference with elite teams in there, so just keep that in mind. There will be no more elite teams after that American Conference, so the 3 conferences left that you guys have yet to see, those are going to be just above average to ass. So I'm just letting y'all know. Because most of you have seen the entire tiers that I do for conference reviews. So that's pretty much all I have in advance. But if you haven't already, make sure you check the link in the description with the entire playlist in there. Make sure you check that out. Being able to see every single episode that has been posted already, but you also have future episodes that will come at a later date. Also, don't forget to hit the red subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you don't miss a single one of my videos. Without further ado, let's get to the Conference USA season reviews for 2024. You guys know the drill, but if for some reason you don't, let me give you the rundown. Obviously, you got teams that are elite. Like I said before, there are no more teams that are elite this season for the rest of the group of 5 conferences. After that, we have the teams that are above average, then the teams that are decent, then the teams that are disappointing, and then the teams that were ass. Sound good? Great. First up, we got the FIU Panthers. Ass. I know they beat 5-10 Louisiana Tech. They made a bowl game, but they guys lost to fucking Monmouth. What? FAU didn't beat a single team that had a winning record, which really sucks for them, but it is what it is. I don't think they've had a conference title since the Sun Belt days and the 2000s. That's just sad. Also could have beaten Liberty. They lost in overtime. They lost to Sam Houston by 3, Jacksonville State by 3, and Kennesaw State by only 1. They did have a chance to make a bowl game with a couple of 4 close games besides the Monmouth game, but of course they wouldn't be an ass tier if they did. Keon Jenkins was actually pretty nice this season. 2,500 yards, 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Just the run game was just ass. Also, shout out to Eric Rivers with 62 catches, just under 1,200 yards and 12 receiving touchdowns. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, FIU had no players drafted. Unless you got the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. I'll absolutely put them in above average. 9-5. Won the Conference USA title, by the way. Unfortunately, lost the Cure Bowl to Ohio, the MAC runner-up. Only losses of the season were against Western Kentucky, Coastal Carolina by 28, lost to Eastern Michigan, along with a blowout loss against the ranked Louisville. Besides Louisville, this was not a hard schedule at all, really. But somehow Jacksonville State gets smacked by Coastal Carolina and loses in double overtime to EMU. Also loses by 2 at Western Kentucky. But as far as everybody else, they did handle their business, so honestly, it's not even all that bad. Tyler Huff was alright, 2,500 yards, 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But this is where it gets super interesting because Trey Stewart and Tyler Huff combined for, get this, a total of 3,000 rushing yards and 40 rushing touchdowns. You can't even do that in the 2000s. You can't have like a running back or a running core have 40 rushing touchdowns and 3,000 yards. Like, it's not possible. But somehow this duo did it in college. What the fuck? There was also Cam Vaughn, who had 800 receiving yards on 48 catches and 5 touchdowns. Nobody else got drafted, so it was all for nothing, sort of. And next we got Kennesaw State. I know they're a new team, but I gotta give him a fair ranking. Ass. They actually kinda did surpass expectations. They actually beat other than 6-0 Liberty team that somehow lost to Kennesaw State. How? Unfortunately, they lost to everybody else. They actually, the close games that they had were against UTEP in overtime and Sam Houston in overtime, as in the one-possession games. Everything else, not great. No offense to Kennesaw State, but I don't think it's really worth it to really talk about their offense, besides maybe Michael Benefield that have 500 yards and 5 touchdowns on the ground. I don't think anyone's surprised that nobody got drafted from there. Up next, we got the LA Tech Bulldogs. Ooh, disappointing. Made it to a bowl game as a 5-7 team, lost badly to Army. It was pretty much the academic progress rate. That's how some of these 5-7 teams make it when there's not enough bowl eligible teams out there. Speaking of academic progress rate, when I get to the MAC, I'm going to be talking about the Akron Zips. I'm sure maybe like a select few of you know what happened, but when I get to the MAC edition, I will tell you everything about that. Only lost by 10 to NC State, but could have beaten Tulsa, FIU, New Mexico State, Sam Houston, Jacksonville State, and got blown up by Arkansas. So they realistically could have went 10-2. All but 2 of their losses were close games. They wouldn't be a disappointing tier if they were actually competent at doing their job. Unfortunately, they would have been above average, but this is where we are. Evan Bullock was okay. He had 2,100 yards, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 500 yards for Omri Wickens for 4 touchdowns on the ground. And on the receiving end, True Edwards, 85 catches, just under 1,000 yards, and 6 touchdowns on the receiving end. No draftees, as always. Next up, we got the Liberty Flames. Last year's Conference USA winners, I guess they were above average. They went 8-4 this season, and you're wondering, how'd they only play 12 games? Well, that was because the App State game got canceled. And my mistake for calling this out, but 5-0 was what Liberty was when they lost to Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State was actually winless up to that point. Then Liberty lost badly to Buffalo in the Bahamas Bowl. But they could have salvaged the season if they didn't lose to Sam Houston by 2, Kennesaw State by 3, and they didn't lose to Jacksonville State by 10. Kane Salter, he was okay. He was so hyped up this season. It's not even funny. 15 touchdowns, just under 1,900 yards, and 6 interceptions. But then you got Quentin Cooley, who had 1,200 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns. Crazy stuff. And nobody was drafted. And next we got the MTSU Blue Raiders. Ass. Every single time this team lost, they lost by more than 10 points. Only wins for the Blue Raiders were against Tennessee Tech, an FCS school, Kennesaw State, and UTEP. Not much to say about the season except disappointing. Nicholas Fatiato had just over 3,000 passing yards, but only 16 touchdowns to 10 picks. And shout out to the receiving duo, Holden Willis and Amari Kelly, each having almost 900 yards. And Willis with 6 touchdowns, Kelly with 4. And nobody was drafted again. Speaking of ass, here comes New Mexico State. Ass. Oh, by the way, before I forget this, who the hell put UConn and UMass in Conference USA? Anyways, New Mexico State's only wins were against MTSU, Louisiana Tech to beat a bowl game, and FCS school. These guys literally only came close to going 5-7 twice. Once against Liberty and once against UTEP. They lost both of them. Ever since Diego Pavia left just the past season, it's been down the drain for the New Mexico State. I believe they're called the Aggies? Oh, I literally just said it. What am I saying? Rushing game was the best part of this whole thing. You had Seth McGowan with 800 rushing yards. And you got Mike Washington with 700 rushing yards with 8 touchdowns. I think you get the idea with the whole draft thing. Next up, we got Sam Houston Bearcats. How do you go from an absolute ass team in your first year to 10 wins your next? That is a huge turnaround. I'm sure Sam Houston will most likely go down from there, but this was still an absolute milestone of a season. 10-3, won the New Orleans Bowl against Georgia Southern. Only losses came against Jacksonville State by 10, Western Kentucky by 17, and out of the Big 12, UCF by 31 points. These guys actually started the season 5-1 and actually only won 4 of their last 6 games after that. So it wasn't a bad season whatsoever. Hunter Watson was pretty average, 1,800 yards, 12 touchdowns, 8 picks. Then you got Jay Ducker with 750 yards, 7 touchdowns. Hunter Watson, 650 yards and 9 touchdowns, both on the ground. I think you get the idea with the draftees. I'm very sure you do now. Oh, by the way, for UConn and UMass, I would have put UConn in above average, and I would have put UMass in ass. Just keeping y'all in mind, just so I just need to rush this whole thing. Up next, we get the UTEP Miners. Speaking of ass. When your wins are against FIU, Kennesaw State, and New Mexico State, yeah, not a good season whatsoever. These guys lost to Southern fucking Utah. Southern Utah! And they actually had 2 more games against Louisiana Tech and Middle Tennessee where they were even close to winning. 3-9 season, always disappointing. I mean, Skylar Locklear was 10 touchdowns, 1,600 yards, 6 picks. But Javon Jackson was the man. 750 rushing yards, only 4 touchdowns is nuts. Yeah, and also shout out to Kenny Odom with 741 receiving yards and 46 catches and 8 touchdowns. You get the idea. We finally have a team with a draftee, the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. I know they went 8-6, but honestly, they were still above average. No teams are decent. It was just disappointing ass or above average. That's it. Like I said before, 8-6, lost the Conference USA Championship by 40 points to Jacksonville State. Nuts. Also lost to JMU in the Boca Raton Bowl, which sucks for them. They actually had a stretch where they won 3 straight games and then 4 straight games. For some reason, scheduled Alabama almost beat Boston College along with Louisiana Tech. But those were the only games really they came close to winning 10 games this season. I think this was a school Bailey Zappi actually broke the touchdown record for a single season in NCAA. I can't remember. I think he did. I think it was 63 touchdowns in a season. Anyways, a little cold fun fact about him. Anyways, speaking of quarterbacks, Caden Veltkamp had actually 3,100 yards, 25 touchdowns to 10 picks. Not too bad. Elijah Young had almost 900 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground, with Veltkamp also adding 7 touchdowns on the ground to his total with 32. And on the receiving end, you had Keyshawn Johnson with 900 receiving yards and 75 catches, 7 touchdowns. You just got Easton Messer with just under 800 receiving yards with 4 touchdowns. Upton Stout is the lucky Western Kentucky Hilltopper to get drafted. He's the corner, and he was selected by the 49ers in, I believe, the 3rd round. Quite an interesting list. Whole lot of pretty good, whole lot of bad. But that's all for the season reviews for Conference USA. Let's get to the predictions. Okay, so here's the deal. 2 new FCS schools are joining this conference in 2025. Oh, by the way, gotta move this down a little bit. There are Missouri State and Delaware. They're not in this thing right now, but if I had to guess, I feel like they have bottom feeders right now because they are transitioning to the FBS, so it's going to be a lot more difficult. Just keeping you all updated on that. Anyways, let's get to the 2025 predictions for Conference USA. Just kicking things off, we got FIU they are starting over, so they're going to be bottom feeders again. They have a new coach, Willie Simmons, and the first thing he's trying to do is help the defense a lot. They actually have Drew Votto from Eastern Michigan for some reason, but, you know, like I said, they're starting over, so they're completely rebuilding. So for right now, they'll be bottom feeders at the moment. And next we got Jacksonville State. Rich Rod left, so they got a new coach in Charles Kelly. So I would probably say they're going to be mid-table this year. By the way, FIU, I feel like they're going to be 2-10 or 3-9. Jacksonville State, I'm thinking 7-5. They won't be terrible, but they won't be as good as they were last year when they were conference champions. Rich Rod went back to West Virginia after coaching Jacksonville State for a while. So now Charles Kelly's going to have to completely rebuild that offense. Especially on defense. Charles Kelly's bringing those kind of defenders out there. It'll be interesting to see what Jacksonville State does. Next is Kennesaw State. They had a 2-10 season last year. Sadly, I feel like they're going to only smallly improve. I think 5-7 is best. They're obviously a lot more experienced now. And they actually kind of fired their head coach. I'm not actually too sure, but they're bringing in a new coach. But all the players have a lot of experience, so should be good. Next up, Louisiana Tech. I think bowl game ceiling is right where they are. They did go 5-7 last year, made a bowl game. I feel like they're going to be 5-7 this year, maybe 4-8 as well. I don't think they're exactly going to be conference bottom feeders, but they're waiting on when it's going to finally click. I don't think it's this year. Next up, we got Liberty, easiest contenders of my entire life. Liberty has a lot of returning stars, including their quarterback. This should be a fun season for the Flames. Oh, wait. Caden Salter went to Colorado. My bad. They got a lot of depth, so this will be very important for Liberty to come back and be conference champs again. Next up, Middle Tennessee. I didn't even notice this, but former Vanderbilt head coach Derek Mason is actually coaching MTSU. He's got something going right now. Maybe he can be above average at around 8-4. They have some good pieces on offense, but it really comes down to the defense. But Derek Mason can work on that this upcoming season. Next up, New Mexico State. I'll be honest, I feel like mid-table's right where they need to be right now, and I feel like that's exactly where they're going to be. It's another rough offseason with huge losses, but they do have plenty of players that can make an impact. Sam Houston up next. I feel like they're going to be the ones to play Liberty in the conference championship game. Phil Longo is now the coach, now that the old one decided to leave. But on the defensive side, big guys wanted some Bearcat stars on the defensive side. All the guys are going to be on the offense, but the defense have some big players that you really want to look out for. Next up is UTEP. I feel like 3-9 is literally the best thing they can go to right now. Oh, by the way, UConn would be mid-table and UMass would be bottom feeder. Anyways, for UTEP, Scott Walden has a few more parts to play with for an offense, but defense is going to be a little bit interesting here. Oh yeah, Malachi Nelson's now on this team. If you didn't know, he was a quarterback for Boise State. I think he was the backup for that playoff team, Boise State. And of course, finally, we got the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. I feel like they are still going to be above average, very close to contending for a Conference USA title again. They definitely lost a lot of players in the portal in the offseason. They got a lot of retooling to do, especially in the trenches, but they should still be above average in the Conference USA. That's all for the Conference USA 2025 predictions. Good luck, Conference USA. Hopefully you could get a team to the playoff this year. And that'll do it for this episode of Grizzly Talks Football. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you hit the red subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you don't miss a single one of my videos. This is the Grizz. I'm signing off for now. Until next time, I will see you guys later. Peace!